This is a question is not real estate. That's the end of your policy, physical policy. Once you have that physical policy in place, you have master plans, and who says that that city doesn't have a bylaw? It does have a bylaw. So it's a question of implementation. It's a question of building control. There is no building control. So that is why we are finding ourselves like this, when you have gated communities, you've got DHA, you've got area, and a host of just housing scheme. But that is no development, actually.
Sir, can I just answer that? And yes, we are on the same page, by the way. I am not differing to what you are saying that we need policies. This is the case we are making for that we need policies. Yes, policies for work, because urban planning is about real estate development. What we are talking about is the urban planning is the real estate. Along with the real estate, you got everything, but that falls into real estate. Let me just answer that, sir. You talked about DHA. I've got 6 projects in Rawalpindi and Islamabad, 2 hotels, 3 malls, and 1 residential complex. None of them is in DHA or barrier. I'm talking about the main arteries, which is badly needed, the urban planning and the real estate development, the Kashmir Highway or the. Let me answer. Let me answer.
Because I say it's badly needed in urban policy. Because there is no urban policy. It's not missing.
Now, what I'm saying is, let me answer. You quoted Dubai, and you're comparing Dubai where the native, for example, is 20%, rest is all immigrants. You're talking about Pakistan, 5th most populous country, and that's, yes, it's real estate development is badly needed. And I'm talking about the policies for the real estate. We are on the same page, we're talking about the same thing. Just one thing, sir. Now, if you are saying that, how come I know? I am also the chairman of Builders and Developers Association of GT Road, Zone 5. And I know because there are more than 200 buildings which are coming up on these 2 roads. Now, just to share some more stats, I love them. A mall, a civic mall, a smaller size mall, not Centaurs, maybe Safa Gold, needs a population of 1 million. Chakwal doesn't have a mall. Ahmedabad is takriban 8 lakh ki abadi, doesn't have a mall. We need malls here, yes. Now, within DHA or the gated community, how many commercial areas were successful in Barrier or DHA here in Islamabad? Not even Civic Center, which was the heart of Barrier. Because of the population, because of the approaches, because what people want. The main arteries are going to be successful. Tell me about Zone 5 or GT Road if there is one single commercial premises which is empty or vacant. None. Badly needed. Giga Mall, I'm building a mall next to Giga Mall. People used to say where the brands are going to come from. Already fully booked. I'm building 3 malls there.
Sorry, I'll stop you so that we keep the discussion going. I think we all agree we do definitely need mall everywhere. But once again, I think there was something.
Now, let me complete, sir, if you don't mind. This is, I'll have to, obviously whatever I say, I'll have to answer. I'm not talking about malls. I'm not talking about hotels or anything like that. What I'm saying is everything which has to be built in Pakistan should have some law or policy. Whether that is hospital or anything.
I think this is something that we all agree with. But there was something very interesting that Kaleem Saab actually touched upon with this idea of in the whole planning and construction and the development of not only real estate but housing, this idea of humans, of participation and all of that. So maybe if I can, would you like to talk a little bit about it, or then?
I need to make a point here. I totally understand that real estate sector is an important sector in development of cities. They are largely and many a time misconceptually associated with the idea of development. But urban planning, regional planning is not about real estate. It's about good of the people, happiness of the people, and affordability and providing them with things. So you cannot on, just mix these two.
So if I
I
with
am
this
afraid to
complicated-
make you understand that it is housing is real estate, the good of people is real estate. You live in houses, you work in offices, that is called real estate.
Sir, tell me one thing.
That is part of your
You want to put a 10 crore rupee house in every village, made of concrete, tiles, grohe fittings in villages? That's what your idea of
Even if you live in villages, that's real estate.
I think
That is, okay, let me, wait guys, let me just tell you the meaning of real estate. I think we need to know that. Real estate, any tangible asset, जो ब्रिक लगाते हैं, इवन वुड की घर भी बनाते हैं, वो भी रियल एस्टेट में आता है. जमीन जिसके ऊपर आप खड़े हैं, ये सारी की सारी रियल एस्टेट एक्स टेंजिबल एसेट. प्लीज ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द केस वी आर ट्राइंग टू मेक. द होल थिंग, पूरी की पूरी जमीन जो है ये रियल एस्टेट. जब आप कहते हैं जमीन कम हो रही है, रियल एस्टेट कम हो रही है.
I think we absolutely understand what a developer friend is saying, but it's just a matter of putting the horse before the car.
Exactly.
So I'm really glad that our developer really understands that this is going to be a top-down approach, an umbrella organization that looks at the needs of the whole country and in terms of city and regional planning, and then sort of hands out each and every aspect.
Agreed. I think
Whether it's the 18th Amendment or the federal level, those can all be figured out. You can
Exactly.
have a policy and hand it out. This is our national policy 2030. This is how we are going. So I really,
well, I think the reality of the debate is this is something that cannot be solved in a 1 hour or 2 hour conversation. If that would have been possible, I think we would not be where we are right now. But the good thing is that we're all sitting in one forum and we're talking about all of these issues. And yes, some of these things that people say we might disagree with. The good thing is that at least we're talking about it. If I can just, because please.
You are talking right, everybody is saying right, the master planning concept is right, but somehow that we have to come, what I say, on the proper route. We have not yet come on the proper route to obtain a good national housing policy, national real estate policy. That is what I am emphasizing. This is right time. Thank God we are discussing it today openly. What is real estate? What is urban development? You see, last week the 12th 5-year plan, because I have been working in planning commission, I know what is going on. Last week they have developed next 5-year plan 2019 to 2024, and there is a chapter on physical planning, housing and urban development. Why not this forum and the recommendation of this forum will be immediately finalized and sent to the Minister for Planning and Development for incorporated into that, what you call it, next plan issue. That is number one. Number two, you see, we have to think about, while we are talking about national, why we are forgetting about that after 18th amendment, the provincial government have to play a very active role in going for good urban development, sustainable urban development. And they are totally dependent on local government. We are not considered about the local government. There are more than 200 towns now presently which have population reaching around 1 million. During next 5 years, you have to also think about it.
Exactly, sir. I think this idea of population, and from there I would like to redirect because, sorry, please go ahead.
Whenever we talk about new cities, I fully endorse it. Actually, I have been involved. My career started in Organised University, then in CDI work for 6 months. And I have been there in master planning side, typically Siddiqui time, Ahmed Ali time, you know all those old people. At that time it was thought about that we should stop the growth of the Islamabad after 50-year period. Has anybody thought about it? We should go for a new Islamabad. We have just talked about DHA developing another Islamabad in the vicinity of main Islamabad. So we should start thinking about it and give recommendations for future planning.
It's wonderful to hear all of this here because we can really tell that there's a lot of emotions about this whole debate about urbanization. I think it's really great. There are a lot of very valid kind of directions and standpoints that are coming out today, and perhaps if there is some kind of a document that can go But again, talking about this idea of humanism in very important in a city, and this idea of population, what does the population thinks and the regional teams think, I would like to invite Jahangir Saab to talk a little bit about the comparison of the different metropolises in Pakistan and his planning.
I grew up in Lahore, and Lahore of my childhood used to criticize Karachi about things that were going on in Karachi at that time. Today's Lahore has everything and more of all the things that criticized Karachi about in terms of the negatives rather than the positives. Lahore at that time was Lahore of Imtiaz Ali Taj's Yaran and Najat, where they defined that if those 14 people who were literary and who were artists and who were poets did not exist, that the city of Lahore may as well never have existed. Today's Lahore is not that way. Today's Lahore has become all of those things that we were talking about in Karachi. Karachi, may I submit to you, today is maybe 20 to 25 cities next to each other with different cultures, different sometimes languages even, different economies even, you know, in terms of how they are and the humanist value that you want me to talk about. Lahore today is probably 15 to 20 such cities. Sorry. Lahore is probably 15 to 20 such cities next to each other. They could have been 25 to 50 kilometers apart and maybe governed well, and similarly in Karachi, but of course that cannot happen. We can talk about Islamabad. Does Islamabad need to become all this, or can we develop differently? The linear city here, today we have a question. We have a commission sitting and talking about this. We need to ask ourselves this question: do we need to become Lahore? I've heard somebody on television say, why don't we make it like Lahore? And I shuddered. I said, don't we learn from our Lahore is a wonderful city, but don't we learn from our mistakes, you know? Because, so if you look at it, which is the only master plan? We had an IAP event, I remember, that you hosted, where they talked about the only planned part of Lahore for a very long time was Model Town. And probably still is if we don't take the yes, and in terms of even today it can stand alone as a good planning example. But when we look at this, should this linear city carry on forever? So the question that needs to come up from earlier discussion: our new airport is in Rawalpindi. The city that will come around it will be governed by Rawalpindi. The airport is Islamabad. The city that will come around, governed around it is Rawalpindi. Something to think about in terms of how do we negotiate this, and what we need to maybe look at is, if Islamabad is going to become a center of this region as well as the capital city that it is for the nation, I think we have to start considering Wah as a place that is supporting Islamabad, Gujar Khan as a place that is supporting Islamabad, Mari as a place that is supporting Islamabad, Bahriya as a place that is supporting Islam and the whole development around it, which is not part of the linear. If technology can be used to connect these to Islamabad, and we make them independent places like you talked about in England, if we can come up with the right governance model for that, to have industry-based cities with its own agriculture around it, with supporting its hinterland, I think this will be more in line with the earlier 5-year plans that we've had, and we'll be able to come up with a better city model. Maybe not a megalith megalopolis that Lahore and Karachi became, but maybe a very humane place, and yet not the most expensive in terms of real estate that we have kind of engineered it to become. You can have the same quality in a lot less price.
I think that's wonderful comments actually, especially kind of differentiating the original kind of spirit of Islamabad on which it was initially planned. But again, before I hand the mic to Iktisam Saab to actually have a little bit his ideas about it, can I ask Shudash Saab also, because we're talking about bringing all of these other kind of outlying areas into this big umbrella called Islamabad. How does those outlying areas think about it? What about Rawalpindi thinking about Islamabad?
Here the question arises, first of all, when Islamabad was planned, its basic needs were missed out. It's the question. Capital doesn't need any airport. Capital doesn't need any railway station. And many other. No, this is just like this, where people say 50s Islamabad, 60s Islamabad, then 70s Islamabad was very beautiful. Actually, the answer is that no work, no mistake. When you will not plan the airport, there will not be problems. You will not plan the railway station, there will not problems, related problems. Yes. No, it is the solution is that earlier my friends have given that some comprehensive one authority is required for both the twin cities concept. Then the problems will be resolved. And we are going for the master planning, revision of master planning. In that is the opportunity to rectify our mistakes. Again, I will come to the question of policies. Policies were there, beautiful policies were there. Actual question is their implementation. Actually, the nations which have implemented our policies are now here. We have not implemented our policy and we are here. The question is implementation, not the policies. Policies were there, policies will come, beautiful policies will come in the books, beautifully pointed books. Yes, the question is thinking is required, okay, how we can implement. And the other question is that in our institutions, who doesn't teach land management system? Can anybody tell me? In any institution, our students don't know about Khevat, our Khatuni, what is Titima, what is Guzara Jangal. Then when these questions arise during planning, they become fake. Yes, the need is not top, need is in the bottom, where our institutions are working. We have to think about their curriculum, we have to revise them, we have to tell them. On the other hand, Patwari is maneuvering all the thing. And on the other hand, we are teaching some other policies and some other subjects. Our town planner, our architect can't handle a Patwari. His knowledge, real Patwari has a huge knowledge about this subject. So, I will suggest we have to start from the bottom towards our institutions, and then the solutions will come.
I think what he is pointing out towards the practical on-ground issues, but what I am concerned over here is that as Shirpal Saab is also part of the commission that's trying to plan right now, and a lot of students, teachers are sitting here. I would raise two important concerns. One is there is an inherent problem with the idea of planning. Generally in Pakistan, planning is being done from the perspective of logistics. This many population, this many water pumps, this many hospitals, just place them and put roads and planning is done. But Islamabad had not been created on basis of a logistical planning agenda. It had been based on acoustical planning agenda. So unless we develop a self-conscious strategy for Islamabad, we are eventually going to turn Islamabad into a monster, something else. And that's critically important, one. Number two, we definitely don't need for Islamabad 50-year plan or 100-year plan, but we need to determine toward west how far we want to take the city. The critical study says 50 kilometers you can sustain acoustical model. So at least 50 kilometers from the start point, which is the presidency, we must have a master plan for Islamabad.
No, I think it's really two very valid concerns that tie into the original plan of Islamabad, and also what Jahangir Sahab was talking about, this idea of the greater city, and a greater city that is somehow, that Sir also pointed out before as well, is a sustainable environment, that it sustains itself. So it's not this big monster that kind of drives on the resources of the hinterland or the other agricultural areas.
The key word for while you talk about humane, but the key word is technology. Yesterday's technology caused cities to be the way they are. Today's technology allows for us to work different, live different, and we can make our cities very different in terms of that. Why are we still repeating the old city issues and problems? We need to take a look at that and see what is the city that we want to build. It's very simple. You might laugh at me at that one, but in Alice in Wonderland, when she comes out, the Mad Hatter kind of, is over there, and she asks him, he says, where does this road lead to? Where does this road go? And he says, depends on where you want to go. So we got to know what kind of a city we want to build, and I think that is the beginning of the solution.
Is there a mic in the audience somewhere? Thank you.
It's all right.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the discussion which is happening between you gentlemen, and I appreciate that you are suffering from this, from the population growth. Now, I have a question about the structure of this growth. I mean, what is the social level of who are the people who are concerned about building new cities or building new expansion? Which class of people who will fill these settlements? This is very important. Are these the rich people, or are these the moderate, or the less fortunate? And the next question is how I can describe a master plan or a new planning concept smart. I mean, sometimes I ask myself, even worldwide, people are always talking about smart cities. So I'd like to hear from you how you describe smartness in cities. I mean, what's the meaning of smart? If it's in the agenda, or just look at it only from a numerical point of view, or just technical point of view. And here it comes to the idea of the socio-cultural, environmental aspect. How all these factors can be embodied in such thought and such philosophy. Do you have any?
Can I redirect it? I'm sorry, we're running out of time as well. Actually, amazing concerns that I think we all share right now. So I'll simplify your question into two questions. One, whatever we're making, city, real estate, house, who do we see it for? The rich, the middle class, or the poor? One. The second question.
Proportion between them, I mean.
Or they can portion if they want.
Proportion between the rich, middle, and
or they can proportionate. So it's up to you. The second question, smart. We all agree we want to make a smart city. Can you define smart? So if I can start with you, we'll keep it brief, and if all of you gentlemen can actually, okay.
Very good question. I think this should have been the start of the whole debate, which is urban planning.
Sorry, just before you proceed, we'll just be wrapping it up very soon. Just a couple of more minutes to go.
This is going to be the last question.
Last question.
Each gentleman is going to give their comments.
Would you like to answer?
No.
Well, this is what I call effective policy making and implementation. So for policy, the first thing we need is stats. What sort of population we are planning the city for, and what the city is going to see in future. Let's say, for example, in case of traffic, we just had a discussion about Islamabad, whether Islamabad had some plan for the mass transit. No, Islamabad had plans. The green areas, the green belt of the Kashmir highway or the expressway, they were meant to be for the mass transit. At that time, the theory of Dr. Das is that, city is always evolving. It's always going to be on the move. But the data, that is unfortunately missing here in Pakistan. We don't plan ahead. And this is what we talk about, that we have to have the data. What sort of housing schemes should be there? Because we do have the gated housing schemes and the rest of it, but the thing is affordable housing. Let's say if we talk about 5 million houses, where they're going to be, whether they're going to be commutable or not, what sort of approaches are we talking about? this is, I think the discussion has been about that we have to have a national policy and then the regional policies. And for the policies, the first thing we need to do is that we gather that data, that what sort of population is going to be there. For them, obviously, we will be planning the whole real estate, whether it includes the urban planning or the rest of it. So unfortunately, there is no clear answer to your question because there is no data. In the whole of Pakistan's history, there has been only one research in 2007 by the Minister of Commerce at that time, who obviously gave some stats. There has not been a single book on this subject. So, but we are obviously making an effort for that now. Thank you.
Same question, Shudazar.
Actually, I will change your question slightly in the form, who needs housing? Not poor, not rich, not middle class. Who needs? The answer is yes, poor. Because I have already explained in the start of the discussion that there are a number of housing schemes around Rawalpindi which have been developed since long, but there is no colonization. Because poor age is beyond the reach of poor, and the rich people are using these schemes for their profit making. So, answer is that who requires housing? We have to identify who requires. Is rich people require? Then we have to develop accordingly. Middle class or some poor people. And when we will develop housing for them, considering comprehensive planning concept, then the real answer will come.
Jagir sir, same two questions.
I would like to present to you the case of the guy who lives in the village next to mine. The north, about 150 kilometers from here is my homestead. And the guy who lives in the village next to mine could not find a job, so he moved southwards, and he kept moving southward until he got to Karachi. He was living in his village, breathing good fresh air. He was having whole grain food. He was eating fruit plucked off of the trees. He was living with his family. The one thing he didn't have was a job. So he went to the big city, where he lives in the promise. The big city gives him the promise, and it keeps on expanding. Karachi is more than 20 million or something like that, 22 million possibly. He lives there in terrible conditions, commutes terribly, eats terribly, doesn't sleep well, is not with his family. And the question that I ask is, why could we not provide a job to him within the vicinity of the next 25 kilometers? So that, I think, is the problem, sir, rather than the cities that keeps growing. We say it's more convenient for Karachi to grow, it's more convenient for Lahore to grow, or Gujranwala and elsewhere. But the national policy should not be based on convenience. The national policy needs to be built on need in terms of what is good and qualitative for the people. And I think that is what it needs to look at. As far as smart cities goes, some time ago they had a seminar in India that we couldn't attend because of visa things, so it was one of those Acacia things, and they had this talk about smart cities, and I was very curious, so I kind of kept emailing and asking them, that can you send us some of these things, and eventually I found out that they were doing more than 100 smart cities, and I said, what is the criteria? And I found out there's no criteria. You can call any city a smart city. In our city, Islamabad, security is what makes it smart, because what it does is, it is for the happening to happen before it gets to the red zone is the answer. And that is the smart city premise over here. Right or wrong, we are not being subjective about it. I'm just saying what different cities are defining it differently. I would imagine a smart city would be where it is more facilitative towards its citizens, but I haven't seen that. As an example of that, I'll share with you, 4 months ago, we were in Rome, we were wrapping up a 5-day seminar, a 5-day training for architectural teachers on distance learning. And at the end of that, they said they were starting another program and they wanted our closing session to be with them, so they had both of them together. So we went there, and I was very interested because they were going to talk about smart cities and their minister was coming. So we stuck around and we listened to all the lectures, and in the end, when after 5 lectures, when the minister was talking about it, I realized they're still looking for the definition of smart cities. And I think what has happened is it's a very catchy label that hasn't found a definition yet, in my opinion.
That's it. I think this debate can continue for hours if you like, and we'll keep arguing, but there's one important concern that I would like to point out towards in context of this discussion. Leaving the national policy agenda, it's not maybe possible, it has political groundings of it, so let's leave it. But I think the planning course structure, the way it's taught, and you are the new chairman PKP, I have learned so much, and congratulations. And I think there's a new team just elected, and I would like to specially point out towards it, the whole planning system that teaches the planning institution is totally geared towards a very myopic, very small thought, scheme planning type of teaching. They have absolutely no idea of grassroots realities. It's totally about stats. It's totally about stats. I have interacted around 50 master's students of planning in the last 4 years for a project I was doing, and all of them, all the theses that are coming out are just stats. We collected the data, the primary data, how many taps have clean water. Okay, you need this many liters of clean water, you need this size of tank for that. And that is going to be placed there, and the end result is make a policy for that. So that structure does not work with the realities of this country by any means. It's totally a disaster, and once these people go to decision-making authorities, it's a huge trouble. In the case of Islamabad, we see there is like we in 1950s, as we said, we got a Telsa model something or a BMW, and now we have IAPEX carburetor mechanics trying to run the city in planning department. So they are experts in their field. Yes, give an effects to them, they will do that, but they cannot handle this city. Definitely.
With that, I think we would conclude the session. Thank you so much for being here, and especially to you guys. I think the thing that we can take away from here right now is the city is ours, and we need to be heard. So everybody sitting over here has some kind of perspective on the city, and it has to make some kind of a difference now. It cannot come from one side only. So thank you once again, and may God be with you.
Panel discussion, yes. I'm sure all of the points raised by our guests need to be pondered upon. Now we're going to be moving on to the next session. Can you all please be seated? We're going to proceed with the session. It was a very informative panel discussion. Thank you, guests. I'm sure that all of the points that were raised, there's something that we need to ponder upon. Now we're going to move to the next session, and please have your attention, guests. Okay, so we're going to move to the next session, and the topic for this session is business and design tools. And for our first presentation, I'd like to invite Mr. Rawalpindi, who has specialized in e-product development from University of Bristol, UK. He owns a digital advertising agency, Sales Studio, which is specialized in e-commerce business consultancy and development, mobile apps, search engine road mapping, and digital brand enhancement. Can we please have you on stage, sir?
Assalamualaikum. Before I start this presentation and discussion of the architect e-profiling and social networking, we need to understand one thing. How we are contributing in the market, how we are educating our society being an architect. So, because the society हमें बीइंग एन आर्किटेक्ट्स जो रिकॉग्निशन मार्केट में चाहिए हम समझते हैं कि हमें वो रिकग्निशन मार्केट में नहीं मिल रही। अगर हम 100 का काम करते हैं तो हमें 30 या 40 रुपीस मिलते हैं। सो हाउ वी कैन इम्प्रूव दीज समथिंग इन मार्केट नाउ। सोसाइटी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ आर्किटेक्ट्स। हम जो हमारे आने वाले स्टूडेंट्स हैं, हम उनके लिए कैसे रोड मैप सेट कर रहे हैं और उनको कैसे ऐसा एक प्लान दे रहे हैं जिसके जरिए वो मार्केट में मूव ऑन कर सकते हैं। फॉर दैट आर्किटेक्ट नीड्स टू क्रिएट, मेंटेन एंड अपग्रेड देयर ई-प्रोफाइलिंग। ई-प्रोफाइलिंग है क्या? Why and what is e-profiling? Social networking or digitalization. Placements. Every year, हजारों थाउजेंड स्टूडेंट्स, आर्किटेक्ट स्टूडेंट्स लाइक मार्केट के अंदर इंजेक्ट हो रहे हैं। हम उनके लिए रोड मैप कैसे सेट कर सकते हैं? जब तक हम बीइंग एन सक्सेसफुल आर्किटेक्ट अपने कंज्यूमर और सोसाइटी को ये ना बताएं कि आर्किटेक्ट का बेनिफिट मार्केट के अंदर क्या है। दिस इज कॉल्ड द प्लेसमेंट। देन पोजीशनिंग। जब आप अपने आप को मार्केट के अंदर एक अच्छा और वेल प्लेस कर लेते हैं तो ओनली देन यू कैन गेट द पोजीशन यू वांट इन द मार्केट। सो दिस इज कॉल्ड द पोजीशनिंग इन ई प्रोफाइलिंग। अवेयरनेस क्या चीज है? सोसाइटी डे बाय डे आप सीनियर्स की वजह से, आप सीनियर आर्किटेक्ट्स की वजह से सोसाइटी ये तो अवेयर कर गई है कि अब हमने ठेकेदारी निजाम से, मिस्त्री निजाम से आगे चलना है। लेकिन हमें ये अवेयरनेस कैसे उसको क्रिएट करके देनी पड़ेगी? हमें ये अवेयरनेस वैसे क्रिएट करके देनी पड़ेगी कि हमें अपनी ई प्रोफाइलिंग, अपने इर्द गिर्द एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म डेवलप करना पड़ेगा जिस तक लोगों की एक्सेसमेंट होगी। ये कैसे हो सकता है? आप में से कितने लोगों के अपने प्रोफाइल पेजेस हैं? कैन आई हैव द हैंड? ये आपके प्रोफाइल पेजेस हैं कि ये आपके बिजनेस पेजेस हैं? Sorry? It's a mix. So basically for the awareness, हमें अपनी प्रोफाइल पेजेस से हटकर अपना एक बिजनेस मोमेंटम बनाना पड़ेगा। जब तक आप अपने आप को एज ब्रांड मार्केट में एस्टैब्लिश नहीं करेंगे तो डिफरेंट ब्रांड जो आप लोगों के साथ काम करना चाहते हैं, जो आपको एक्सेस करना चाहते हैं, कितने ब्रांड्स हैं जो आपकी प्रोफाइलिंग के बारे में जानते हैं, कितने ब्रांड्स हैं जो आप लोगों को फॉलो करते हैं, या कितने ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स और कम्युनिटीज हैं जिनकी आप इंस्पिरेशंस हैं। जब तक आप अपने आप को सोशली कनेक्ट नहीं करते, सोशल कनेक्शंस क्या होता है वो हम आगे देखेंगे, लेकिन अभी जैसे बताया गया है कि आप लोगों के प्रोफाइल्स तो हैं लेकिन वो बिजनेस प्रोफाइल्स नहीं है। बिजनेस प्रोफाइल्स पे क्या एक्टिविटीज आप करें, उनको कैसे उनका मोमेंटम आप चेंज करें, वो हम आगे देखते हैं। ओनली देन जब अपने आप को मार्केट में पोजीशन, जब अपने आप को आप मार्केट में प्लेस करते हैं, ब्रांड के बारे में अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करते हैं, देन जो आपका चौथा गोल होता है वो आपकी सेल्स होता है। बिफोर गोइंग फॉर द सोशल नेटवर्किंग, हम सोशल के कुछ स्टैटिस्टिक्स देख लेते हैं कि हमारे इर्द गिर्द हो क्या रहा है। Why we need to be more socialized, why we need to have our own profile pages, why we need a platform जहां पे बैठ के हम डिफरेंट ब्रांड्स के साथ, डिफरेंट प्रोफेशनल के साथ इंटरेक्ट करें। So these are some statistics. Facebook 1.52 बिलियन डेली एक्टिव यूजर है फेसबुक का, खाली 1.52 बिलियन अराउंड द वर्ल्ड। जब आप अपना सोशली नेटवर्क क्रिएट करने में कामयाब हो जाते हैं तो आपको सिर्फ लोकल मार्केट एक्सप्लोर नहीं करनी पड़ती, आप ग्लोबली इंटरेक्शन स्टार्ट कर देते हैं। और आप लोग क्योंकि एक सर्विस प्रोवाइडर हैं, यू नॉट सेलिंग एनीथिंग एक्सेप्ट फॉर योर सर्विसेज, सो आप बैठ के यूई का काम भी कर सकते हैं, आप इंग्लैंड का काम कर सकते हैं। और हमने ये चीज अपने कंज्यूमर तक पहुंचानी है कि आर्किटेक्ट सिर्फ एक नक्शा नवीस नहीं होता, आर्किटेक्ट अपने कमरे में बैठ के सिर्फ प्लान्स क्रिएट नहीं करता। बेसिकली तो आर्किटेक्ट एक विजुअलाइजर है, आर्किटेक्ट एक बिल्डर है जो उसकी बिजनेस स्पेस को वो एनर्जी प्रोवाइड करता है जिससे वो सेल्स को ड्राइव करता है। फेसबुक के पास इस वक्त रफली 74% यूजर है जो कि डेली प्लेटफॉर्म को एक्सेस करता है। आगे ट्विटर रफली 46% एंड इंस्टाग्राम रफली 60% डेली की ट्रैफिक शेयर करता है 1.54 बिलियन में से। ये एक बहुत बड़ा चंक होता है यूजर को जिसको हम वेस्ट कर रहे हैं। सोशलाइज होना इसलिए भी जरूरी है कि अब ग्लोबली बेसिकली जो कन्वेंशनल मार्केट के ट्रेंड्स थे वो चेंज हो रहे हैं। आप लोग अपने मार्केटिंग फ्लायर्स, ब्रोशर्स जो कि कॉस्टली चीजें हैं उनको इग्नोर करके जस्ट टू हैव योर ओन सोशल मीडिया प्रेजेंस ईदर ऑन फेसबुक और इंस्टाग्राम, आप अपने क्लाइंट्स के साथ, अपने स्टूडेंट के साथ इंटरेक्ट कर सकते हैं। सेकंड स्लाइड, हमारे पास यहाँ पे कुछ ग्लोबली ट्रेंड्स हैं अपार्ट फ्रॉम द सोशल नेटवर्क कि इंटरनेशनली हो क्या रहा है। 13% हमारे पास 2018 टू 2019 में शिफ्टिंग आई है यूजर की कोलैबोरेशन कम्युनिकेशन में ब्रांड्स के साथ। 11 न्यू पीपल ज्वाइन एवरी सेकंड्स। तो आपके पास इतनी बड़ी मार्केट ओपन है। आप अगर अपना ई शॉप ले लेते हैं, सो इट एक्ट्स लाइक जब आप लोग सो रहे हैं रात को, फिर भी क्लाइंट्स आपके पास अप्रोचेबल है। हर एक सेकंड में 11 नए यूजर सोशल पे इंजेक्ट होते हैं जिसको आप वेस्ट कर रहे हैं। क्योंकि इस प्रेजेंटेशन का टॉपिक है ई नेटवर्किंग, सोशलाइजिंग, डेवलपिंग योर सोशल नेटवर्किंग और डेवलपिंग योर ई कॉमर्स स्किल्स। अभी हमने सोशल मीडिया की कुछ स्किल्स को तो डिस्कस कर लिया है। यहाँ पे 95% ऑफ शॉप्स ऑनलाइन। अभी आप Draws.p के बारे में जानते होंगे, ABCXY चीजों के बारे में जानते होंगे। ये पोर्टल्स क्या है? ये बेसिकली यूजर को, कंज्यूमर को घर बैठ के वो तमाम चीजें प्रोवाइड कर रहा है जो वो कहीं भी किसी भी शॉप पे जाके ले सकता है। देन आप ये चीजें क्यों नहीं कर रहे? आप अपनी सर्विसेज को ई ड्रिवन क्यों नहीं कर रहे? आप अपनी प्रोडक्ट को ई ड्रिवन क्यों नहीं कर रहे? आप ऐसे वक्त में जिस वक्त आप काम नहीं कर रहे, अपने कंज्यूमर के लिए अपनी शॉप क्यों नहीं ओपन करते? सो दिस इज ओनली पॉसिबल थ्रू ई नेटवर्किंग। These are some statistics. Online shopper spends an average of like $488 million per year. These are the statistics from around the world now. 35% are willing to pay for shopping, 65% are not. ये attach है for the goods, जो उन लोगों के लिए जो कि goods provide करते हैं. Men spends 28% more time than the women. Like हमारी ख़वातीन मेरा ख्याल है नेट पे ज़्यादा टाइम सर्व करती हैं by buying something. 3.4 trillions are estimated to be spent in 2019. ट्रिलियन एक बहुत बड़ी अमाउंट होती है। तो देखें हम एक ऐसा चंक मार्केट में से वेस्ट कर रहे हैं जिसको जस्ट सिर्फ थोड़ी सी प्लानिंग करके, थोड़ी सी चीजों को ऑप्टिमाइज करके हम ये जो हमारा न्यू सेल सेगमेंट है उसको एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं। हम आ जाते हैं कि हमने ये डिस्कशन कर ली, स्टैटिस्टिक्स देख लिए, व्हाई बीइंग एन आर्किटेक्ट्स वी नीड टू बी सोशलाइज्ड, वी नीड टू डेवलप आवर सोशल नेटवर्क। अब सोशल प्लानिंग होती क्या है और उसको हम कैसे कर सकते हैं? इसके लिए आपको क्या चीजें चाहिए होंगी? जस्ट यू नीड टू बी मोटिवेटेड, यू शुड हैव योर ओन सोशल नेटवर्क, यू शुड हैव योर ओन सोशल प्रोफाइल्स, यू शुड हैव योर ओन सोशल पेजेस। ईदर नेटवर्क, आप इंस्टाग्राम पे चले जाएं, आप फेसबुक पे चले जाएं, उसकी जरूरत आप लोगों को समझनी पड़ेगी, इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस आप लोगों को समझनी पड़ेगी। किसी भी सोशल नेटवर्क में जो आपके इर्द गिर्द है, कोई भी सोशल नेटवर्क है, चाहे वो फेसबुक है, चाहे वो पिंटरेस्ट है, चाहे वो इंस्टाग्राम है, उस पे इस किस्म के एक्शंस होते हैं जो आपको अल्टीमेटली सेल्स ड्राइव करके देते हैं। वो है विजिबिलिटी। विजिबिलिटी क्या चीज है? आप क्या काम कर रहे हैं, किसके लिए कर रहे हैं, कब कर रहे हैं, इसको विजिबल करें। बीइंग अ प्रोफाइल अपने सोशल मीडिया पेजेस पे लोगों तक पहुंचाएं मैसेज को। वो ब्रांड जो आप लोगों के साथ काम करना चाह रहे हैं, वो ब्रांड जो ढूंढ रहे हैं कि कौन लोग ज्यादा विजिबल है, लेकिन वहां तक पहुंचेंगे कैसे? थाउजेंड्स ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स एवरी ईयर मार्केट में आते हैं, आप लोग उनके लिए क्या रोड मैप सेट करके दे रहे हैं? सो जो विजिबिलिटी है बेसिकली ये आपके आने वाले स्टूडेंट्स को हेल्प करेगा। एक ऐसी सोसाइटी जिसमें आर्किटेक्ट्स का बेनिफिट्स अब लोग मान चुके हैं। पीपल प्रेफर आर्किटेक्ट्स, इंटीरियर डिजाइनर्स लाइक प्रोफेशनल प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स, जो कि पहले ठेकेदारी निजाम में जाके वो ठेकेदारों से काम करवा लेते थे या वैसे ही प्लान कर लेते थे कि अच्छा मेरा घर है मैं इसको खुद से प्लान कर लेता हूं। नहीं, जब आप अपनी प्रॉपर ई प्रोफाइलिंग चला रहे होंगे, जब ब्रांड आपको अप्रोच कर रहे होंगे, आपके स्टूडेंट आपसे इंटरेक्ट कर रहे होंगे, ओनली देन इट्स पॉसिबल जब लोगों को आपकी आइडियोलॉजी पता चलेगी थ्रू योर सोशल नेटवर्क। सो दिस इज कॉल्ड विजिबिलिटी। हजारों लोगों में से किसी एक बंदे को जो कि ज्यादा विजिबल हो, इधर वो उसने कोई ऐसा कलर पहना हो, कोई ऐसा ड्रेस पहना हो, थोड़ी सी हाइट पे खड़ा हो, वो ज्यादा विजिबल होता है उन लोगों के लिए। सो आपको अपने आप को एज अ ब्रांड मार्केट में एस्टैब्लिश करना पड़ेगा। ब्रांड गेट रिकग्निशंस। जब भी किसी ब्रांड को रिकग्निशन मिलती है डेफिनेटली सेल्स ड्राइव होती है। सो प्लेस योरसेल्फ हाई। एक्शंस। एक्शंस जब आप अपने आप को सोशली प्लेस कर लेते हैं तो फिर आप एक्शन परफॉर्म करना शुरू करते हैं। एक्शंस बेसिकली क्या चीजें हैं? एक्शन होते हैं बाय शेयरिंग डिफरेंट, आप अपना नॉलेज शेयर करें, आप अपने आर्टिकल्स के जरिए, अपने वीडियोस के जरिए, अपने सेमिनार्स के जरिए। आप डेली की जो मीटिंग्स होती हैं उनको एक्शनलाइज डिफाइन करें अपने सोशल नेटवर्क पे। रीच, आप इस चीज को कभी भी इस तरह अंडरस्टैंड ना करें कि मेरे पेज पे मेरे 10 लोग, मेरे सोशल नेटवर्क पे मेरे पास 100 लोग हैं, तो मैं कैसे इंटरेक्ट करूं ब्रांड के साथ। नहीं, ये आपका वो इमेज है जो सोशली आप अपने ब्रांड्स को, अपने फॉलोअर्स को दे रहे हैं, तो वो बेसिकली आपकी रीच कहलाती है। जब भी आप अपने आप को सोशली विजिबल कर लेते हैं, आपने जो भी एक्शन डिफाइन किए थे वो आप एग्जीक्यूट करना शुरू कर देते हैं, तो अल्टीमेटली आपको रीच मिलना शुरू हो जाती है। अगर मुझे आपके पेज में कोई ऐसा टॉपिक, कोई ऐसा आर्किटेक्चरल टॉपिक, लेट्स से कि पैटर्न पे कोई चीज बहुत पसंद है और आपने उसको विजिबल करने के बाद, अपने सोशल मीडिया पेज को विजिबल करने के बाद आपने उसको एक्शन के तौर पे डिफाइन किया था, तो डेफिनेटली मैं जब उस आर्टिकल को पढ़ूंगा तो वो आपको रीच मिलेगी। तो ये आपको सोशल गोल्स के अंदर रीच कहलाती है। इंटरेक्शन, इंटरेक्शन होता है किसी भी सोशल मीडिया नेटवर्क पे आप लोगों के साथ इंटरेक्ट कैसे करते हैं। आपने पहला काम अपने आप को विजिबल कर लिया, मैं लाहौर बैठ के आपका काम देख रहा हूं, मैंने वहां पे बैठ के आपके आर्टिकल को शेयर करना शुरू कर दिया है। अब क्वेश्चन आएगा कि मुझे इसके बारे में कोई जरूरी चीज आपसे पूछनी है, मुझे आपको हायर करना है, अपने आप से मुराद कोई ब्रांड को आपसे इंटरेक्ट करना है, ब्रांड ने आपसे कोई इंक्वायरी लेनी है, तो ये इंटरेक्शन स्टार्ट होती है। ये उसी वक्त पॉसिबल है जब आप बहुत ज्यादा विजिबल विद क्वालिटी कंटेंट होते हैं। और आखिर में है गोल अचीवमेंट्स। ये सारा काम करने का मकसद बेसिकली था क्या? ये सारा काम करने का मकसद ये था कि अल्टीमेटली आपको न्यू मार्केट में से सेल्स सेगमेंट्स मिलना शुरू हो, आप अपनी आने वाली जो भी आर्किटेक्चर ग्रोथ है उस तक वो चीज पहुंचा रहे हैं, उनके लिए मार्केट को सेटल डाउन करके दे रहे हैं। आप लोगों का प्लान ऑफ एक्शन क्या होना चाहिए? आप लोगों ने अपने सोशल मीडिया पेजेस बना लिए, आप लोगों ने अपने प्रोफाइल सेटअप कर लिए इंस्टाग्राम पे, लेकिन अब इनको हम इंगेज कैसे करें वो हम इस प्लान ऑफ एक्शन में देख सकते हैं। सारे दिन में आपने जो भी काम किए, शो योर गोल्स, अचीवमेंट्स, योर प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क्स, योर वर्क एंड प्रोजेक्ट्स, योर नॉलेज, ये वो सारी चीजें हैं जो बेसिकली आपके फॉलोअर्स को, जब आप अपने आप को एज अ ब्रांड मार्केट में एस्टेब्लिश कर रहे हैं, आप बता रहे हैं कि मैं इन प्रोजेक्ट्स पे काम कर रहा हूं, ये मेरा सोशल नेटवर्क है। अपने स्टूडेंट्स को जो कि आपके फॉलोअर्स भी हैं, अपने पेजेस पे अपने वीलॉग्स रखें, अपने वीलॉग्स रखें, अपने स्टेटस रखें, जिनके जरिए स्टूडेंट आपको फॉलो करेगा। तो जो नॉलेज आप लोगों के पास है, आप इंडिविजुअल स्टूडेंट को जाके कैसे दे सकते हैं? आप अपने सोशल मीडिया पर रहते हुए उनको वो नॉलेज दे सकते हैं। वो आखिरी पॉइंट जो हमारा है कि शेयर योर नॉलेज। सो आपका जो सोशल नेटवर्क आप अपने इर्द गिर्द बनाने जा रहे हैं, एक तो वो आपको सेल्स देगा, दूसरा वो रिकग्निशन देगा जो बीइंग एन आर्किटेक्ट आप मार्केट के अंदर चाह रहे होते हैं। ये हमारी प्रेजेंटेशन को छोटी सी थी बिकॉज इसके लिए हमें बहुत ज्यादा टाइम चाहिए होता है। मैं आप लोगों को सिर्फ यही चीज सजेस्ट कर रहा हूं कि बी एक्टिव, बी इंफॉर्मेटिव एंड बी विजिबल ऑन सोशल मीडिया नेटवर्क। आपको सोशल मीडिया की जो इंपॉर्टेंस है वो पता होनी चाहिए। ये सिर्फ आप अपने लिए ही नहीं कर रहे, ये बेसिकली जो आप, वो लोग जो आपको फॉलो करते हैं, जो लोग आप लोगों के साथ कनेक्ट हैं, ये बेसिकली आप उनकी भी फ्यूचर हेल्प कर रहे हैं ताकि वो रिकग्नाइज हो सके मार्केट के अंदर। लोगों को बीइंग एन आर्किटेक्ट इंपॉर्टेंस पता होनी चाहिए कि बीइंग एन आर्किटेक्ट, बीइंग एन इंटीरियर डिजाइनर, एक प्रॉस्पेरस जो प्रोफेशनल है, वो बेसिकली एक प्लान पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा है। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, sir. That was a very informative presentation. Our next presentation will be by Mr. Irfan Zafar, who is the country manager for Autodesk in Pakistan. While understanding several DI projects in the UAE and the US, Mr. Irfan serves several industries, banking, healthcare, and pharmaceuticals, just to name a few. Having developed an interest and a strong urge to work with the business side of things, he took on an opportunity with a large bank when he helped establish customer centricity and customer life cycle management. He equally enjoyed establishing customer experience management. Sir, can we please have you on the stage?
I've been so far establishing the reseller network and just being in touch with the training centers. And we are actually trying to plan a date for a launch event. I think it will happen in Karachi, but I'll let you all know. I'll also share my email address. It's right here. Okay. All right. So what I'd like to start out with is talking about the power of Autodesk software to enhance efficiency in your design process. So what it'll do, it is allow you to collaborate, innovate, and capture the future of design and technology for success. That works? Okay, it works. Okay, all right. So what do? At Autodesk, we make tools to help people with design challenges every day to make anything. So if you've driven a high-performance car, or if everybody's got a smartphone or two in their pockets, or if you watched any modern movies like Harry Potter or The Martian, I think I could go on with a big list. Chances are you've seen the end product of an Autodesk product. Okay. So this is a more interesting slide. This is always my favorite one. Okay, every day at a global level, 400,000 people are joining the middle class. So what does that mean? It means we need more housing, more cars, more infrastructure, more schools, more smartphones, like I said, and you need more entertainment to actually keep them entertained. So what does all that mean? It means we're consuming more resources, more natural resources, more time, more people, and those resources are finite. So less is the reality. We need more. We need more with less. So what does that do? This gives us the opportunity to do better, to do more with less. And we have an incredible opportunity to do better with automation that Autodesk software allows. So for decades, automation has helped us offload tasks and optimize processes. This, what I just discussed, is called the future of making, to do more with less. And one of the main topics that I will talk about in this specific context is building information modeling, which was coined by Autodesk several years ago. And now it's becoming globally accepted in many economies like the United States, UK, and recently United Arab Emirates, where BIM mandates are being discussed and getting much further. Okay, so let's talk about the evolution of the design process. We've all had some exposure to the old drafting methods where you drew by hand. Then in the early 80s, that changed with the early versions of AutoCAD, where you could draw circles, lines, arcs. That changed into 3D within 10 years, and that changed into connected 3D. And then CAD became 3D, and they went in towards BIM. So what we have, the latest one, is all about information intelligence and BIM. Now with the cloud, we have connected BIM. It gives you unprecedented power, unprecedented computing power, allowing you to design like never before. So we'd like to have a video. It's the perfect video break.
These days, a growing number of architects, engineers, and contractors are using BIM. And here's why. Global trends are making AEC projects more complex, while advances in technology are helping industry professionals work more efficiently and effectively. This is where BIM comes in. BIM is an intelligent, model-based process that connects AEC professionals so they can more efficiently design, build, and operate buildings and infrastructure through BIM, or Building Information Modeling. With BIM, designers create digital 3D models that include data associated with physical and functional characteristics. The power of BIM is how it allows architects, engineers, and contractors to collaborate on coordinated models, giving everyone better insight into how their work fits into the overall project, ultimately helping them to work more efficiently. The data in a model defines the design elements and establishes behavior and relationships between model components, So when an element in a model is changed, every view is updated, with the new change appearing in section, elevation, and sheet views. You can use the information in the model to improve your design before it's built. Gain faster buy-in and approvals with realistic visualizations. Convey design intent to the field. And, most importantly, retain model intelligence from concept to construction. BIM provides insight into a design's constructability, improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the construction phase, and also providing a better understanding of the building's future operations and maintenance. Owners can use BIM for predictive maintenance, asset tracking, and facilities management, and for future renovation or deconstruction projects. When you work with BIM, you'll experience reduced project risk, improved timelines and cost savings, and better project outcomes. And the power of BIM is growing with cloud-connected technologies that let project teams design and work together in all new ways. Driven by global trends, the AEC industry is in a time of transformation. Businesses that want to win more work, deliver projects more efficiently, and design better buildings need a powerful solution. And that solution is BIM.
I like that video. It helps clarify Dallas. Now, the AEC mentioned is one of our three broad categories of products. AEC, architecture, engineering, construction. Second suite of products is in manufacturing. And third is media and entertainment. Okay, I see this graph. I don't like it because it tells the truth. Anybody who tells the truth is in trouble. Now, what do we have here? This is, you go across the phases of a construction. And you have some inefficiencies happening due to changing conditions, design changes. I mean, it's inevitable, but then it does have an impact. Are your as-built drawings correct? Are they accurate to the dot? How much? Only you know that. What does it cost you if they're not accurate? And do you have enough asset information? Do you know where your MEP layer is? Do you know where the electricity is going through? Do you know where the water is going through? Really? How accurate? Well, BIM gives you a platform to actually address that. If you look at the risks in construction projects, what you find, they're generally quantified around inefficiencies, diseconomies, and redundancies, which basically means there's a 30% waste because of rework. And 60% are unable to meet project schedules due to various disconnects that take place across the life cycle. Okay? Now, here's the good news. It's a change in culture, but it's for the better. So if we adopt BIM, what we have here, we have better informed decisions. We have improved coordination. And we have information basically across the entire life cycle. So you have information about everything. It's as much as you put into it, how much detail you want to put into it. So in the era of connection, the stepwise progress has been eliminated with more continuous, seamless, and transparent process that results in significant improvement in project performance. Okay, now here's another video. This is for architects.
Architects can harness the power of design, visualization, and analysis tools with the Architecture, Engineering, and Construction Collection from Autodesk. Within the collection, architects use tools to seamlessly conceive, model, optimize, and coordinate their designs with AEC professionals across multiple disciplines and throughout the life cycle of a project. In the early stages of your design, you can use Autodesk Format Pro to create a conceptual massing study within the context of the site. Easy-to-learn sketching and drawing tools allow you to sketch and iterate on your ideas. And if you are looking for additional inspiration, You can even invite other architects in different locations to a design session in real time as you settle on an idea to further develop. Your conceptual designs translate into BIM data in later design stages. And once the initial idea has been conceived, it can be further modeled to a higher degree of detail in an intelligent 3D model with Revit. And since Revit leverages BIM to reduce errors and omissions, you can work in your preferred view, whether it's 2D or 3D. Any design change that you make will automatically update impacted parts of your model, including schedules, sections, and elevations. And if you work with stakeholders who use AutoCAD, Revit can import and export DWG files. When you're exporting to DWG, you have complete control over layers, line weights, and line types. With Recap Pro, we've simplified the process of reality capture so that anyone, beginner or specialist, can scan building sites faster and easier than ever before. Now you can scan quickly and accurately for surveying, planning, renovating, and constructing new buildings or infrastructure. As your Revit model progresses, you can optimize how it will ultimately perform once constructed with Autodesk Insight. With the click of a button, you have access to trusted industry-leading simulation engines for whole building energy, heating, cooling, and daylighting simulations that leverage cloud computing techniques to present millions of potential outcomes at once. With Insight, you'll receive real-time visual feedback that will inform your final design decisions and help you determine how your building design will perform throughout the course of its lifetime. With the Revit Live Cloud service, architects can easily turn Revit and Revit LT models into immersive experiences in just one click. By exploring the model in virtual reality, designers can understand and experience their designs, and then share them with project stakeholders and clients to better communicate design intent. You can also optimize the visual appeal of your design with Autodesk 3ds Max. When you export your model to 3ds Max, building materials are automatically transferred, allowing you to focus on creating the final animation scene with easy-to-use tools like Populate and the Walkthrough Assistant. When complete, the final animations can help you win more business. As an architect who is managing a project team with stakeholders across multiple disciplines, you can use Autodesk Navisworks Manage to resolve complex scheduling issues and resolve costly clashes before the project is constructed. With the Architecture, Engineering, and Construction Collection, we've made it easier for architects to move from conceptual design to multidiscipline coordination by giving you access to powerful tools that aid in the development of every aspect of your design.
I always like that video. There's another video I really wanted to show, but due to lack of time, we can actually arrange for this. So this slide is basically it puts everything into one single sheet. What products were mentioned in the video. Format Pro is where the architects can start. Now the thing is that with BIM, what if you've already made a building? What if you want to actually go back and do the reality capture? That can be done too. Lahore Fort is another example. I'm sure there must be many others around us. So what they're doing is they're doing laser scanning and actually pulling that in using Recap Pro and then into Revit. It's pretty interesting. I went to see them a few weeks back. Okay. BIM mandates. Why are, seeing all the advantages of BIM, you have an idea why so many governments are jumping on board. Europe and Americas are usually taking the lead. So Asia. In the Middle East now, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, even Qatar are getting closer and closer towards BIM mandate. Why? Because it saves you effort, it saves you money. There are case studies which have shown, there's one about, I think, Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. I think it was a 50% schedule saving because of BIM. BIM requires a culture change in project management. Start small with a small project, showcase it, build upon it, and you'll get people following it. Okay. So once again, we'll talk about the advantages. This is based on a global study. 72% improvement, greater predictability of construction costs. When was the last time you heard? I don't know how long it's going to take you to make this building. It depends on so and so reason. Or how many times have you said, "Ye diwar girao, ye kya bana ke, todo isko, kya bana?" So that costs, that adds up, and you need to control it up front. And how can you control it? By actually specifying exactly to the last grain of detail that you need, so that you don't have to break anything. So you don't have to actually incur the cost of breaking things. Fewer errors, like I just mentioned, optimized design, and a better understanding. That's how people actually collaborate better. You can actually catch various inefficiencies and have a better schedule. This is me. You can reach out anytime. You may have questions, concerns, etc. You can take a picture of this. I live in Lahore, and I'm probably heading back either tonight or tomorrow morning. But feel free to reach out. Yes, sir.
There are lots of architects here with different age groups and different expertise. What are you doing to start new? Obviously, this is something that all of us are not trained with or going into. In fact, some of us have really come off the drawing board also, and they got into AutoCAD and all the other technologies that are really changing the way the profession is run now. So what services do you offer architects? Do you have like a training program, or how is it, am I sort of asking the right question here?
Yes, you are. Actually, that's one of the first questions people generally ask us. What do we do? We don't exist in Pakistan, really. What we do have, we've entered on one foot, and we're going to have a launch, inshallah, in May. The dates exactly will be communicated. What we do is we have a reseller base, so that those who wish to make purchases can make purchases. Secondly, we have Autodesk training centers.
So before you make the purchase, you have to make the pitch. You are making the pitch that this is what we need, but our environment, our condition, the way we work in Pakistan and affordability are all very different, compared to international. So how are you going to, as a part of your pitch, I think I'm just suggesting that if you have more interactive sessions and more training, soft trainings, that we would be very interested, our institute would be very interested to be.
I think what you're talking about is a specialized workshop specific to your organization.
Yes.
I would love to. Please reach out.
We are reaching out. Just tell us when you're going to have it.
Okay, I'll have your business card, and then we can actually talk about it.
Sure.
Yes. So anybody else who wishes to know
It's all about working together. It's not only the architects. You need to train the structural engineers. You need to train the MEP people. You need to train all these people working on a building projects.
Absolutely.
So, what exactly do you have a sort of a roadmap for that? Are you going to contact those people as well? Because architects alone cannot do anything until unless all the engineers are fully trained on this. The problem with us is that we, the architects, whenever we get training in this BIM and all these things, it's very easy to get the training. But the problem lies, the engineers, they're working with you, the MEP, the architecture, they are not ready to switch over to BIM. So that is the biggest problem that we have in Pakistan.
And this is a chance for you to address it.
And there is a cost involved.
Actually, what we do is we pitch based on the value, what you gain. The software cost is nothing compared to the gains you have. You end up saving, if you have, say, 50% savings in time, or 30% waste reduction, or something of that sort. That is nothing compared. Our software cost is nothing, and I don't want to stop at selling software. That's cheaper than compared to the whole saving you make. What I would like to see is people successful. I was fortunate enough to be invited by Mr. Faisal here. I think it's good to address each and every stage of the construction life cycle, starting from construction and then to BOT and to civil engineers, structures. We have a different way to reach out to each stage, each set of people. I wish my engineer was here. I'm here alone, so I'm delivering this.
You're not alone, you're with me. Actually, I wanted to comment on your question that what are we doing in Pakistan regarding the training aspect. Autodesk has gracefully launched a center in Pakistan for the BIM training. It's the first center of its kind in Pakistan. We have opened it up with the Capital Ministry of Sciences and Technology. The whole year round we are giving trainings on Revit architecture, MEP structures, the complete construction simulation. We are even offering certifications, international certifications, so that local students, architects, engineers can take the certification, go outside and be employed elsewhere in the world. So thanks for thumbs up.
It's a culture change.
Yes.
It won't happen overnight. What you're saying, Mr. Chengezi, it won't happen overnight, but case to case, one by one, organization by organization. Starts with a workshop with a defined scope. Yes, we can do it everywhere. Everybody else is doing it. We need to catch up.
We are actually a decade late. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. We're actually a decade late. India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, each and everyone has shifted towards BIM, and they're implementing the whole mandate. But now here in Pakistan, if we are waiting for the government to take BIM towards the policies, then it's a long haul. We have to do it on our own. Like I have opened up an institute, you can implement it in your own company. We have to take step on our own.
That's Mr. Hamza Ashraf. Please remember him. No, he's a business partner of ours.
Irfan Saab, with you being here and Hamza Ashraf Saab being here and our President Arif Chengezi Saab being here, may I suggest, to begin this relationship, 4 basic trainings: Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, Peshawar. I think that would be Rawalpindi-Islamabad, Peshawar. I think that would be a beginning. If you offer that, people will sign up. Some offices will depute somebody from their office, and I think that will be the first hook both sides in terms of us getting, the benefit, as you say, and for you to get the business. I think that might be the model to go for.
Fantastic. I mean, it's on case by case.
Chengezi Saab, what do you think?
But again, we've also conducted this kind of a training in our office as well. But again, whenever the problem exactly what we faced is that our engineers are not in that frame of mind to switch over to BIM. So that is the real reason, because in our office, in my office actually, almost 70% of the architects, they are fully familiar with the Revit and the use of this BIM as well. But at the same time, our engineers are not. So we always face, we cannot implement it on our projects because of this handicap, because all the teams are not fully. So we can always have these training sessions in Karachi, in Lahore, in Islamabad, and Peshawar.
It's not always about the.
And we can always talk to the Pakistan Engineering Council. We can always talk through Pakistan Council of Architects. We can talk to Institute of Engineers Pakistan, and we can join hands with them, and we can join with all these HVC, the MEP people and all these, their institutes, so that we can have sort of a common training with all of them. Even then we can proceed further.
Right.
Without that, I am afraid, we will not be able to achieve that. I fully agree with you that this is need of the hour, and internationally, whenever we bid for some projects, even in Middle East, the very first question they asked us, are you guys familiar with the BIM? Can you work on the BIM? So we say, oh, partially. So said, okay, then when you learn completely, then you come to us. So you need to.
That's a compelling reason.
So we need to go with the new challenges. And yes, in our immediate vicinity, in our surrounding, in India, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, in all these countries, even in Malaysia, they are far ahead of us in the use of BIM. And I was just talking to Dr. Qasim Badran, even he has his BIM implemented in his office. So yes, we really badly need this BIM to be at par with the international sort of standard. Thank you.
Just my typical one word or one sentence response to that is that it's a cultural change that we need to make. It's not about the tool expertise. And that culture change will come top down. There's no other way. And we're there. Yes?
Yeah, okay. So firstly, I want to thank for bringing this up. I am a new graduate. It's been a year I've graduated. But thankfully, because of one of our professors, we have started learning BIM and Autodesk Revit since I was in third year of my architecture. Unfortunately, when I graduated, the few design firms or companies that I went for job, Autodesk and BIM was not appreciated because they were still working in AutoCAD. And this was one of the problems that I felt. And while I was struggling through this, I heard that there were a few training sessions that were being held for students, but unfortunately they were really expensive. So one thing that I would want you, I see that a lot of collaborations are going to be held from now on. So I want that students should also be giving this training while they're studying, and it should be really not that costly.
It's in our agenda.
Okay, I'm glad.
It may not happen very quickly, but it's there in the agenda because it's a nationwide change, and change comes with a little bit of muscle work, and everybody has to move together on that. And Mr. Hamza is one of the people who's actually done something. It just needs to be done at a larger scale, and yes, issues like what you just addressed will be addressed.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Please feel free to reach out. We make anything.
Thank you for such an informative speech and presentation, sir. Now we're about to wrap this up. So, Chairman PCAP Kaleem Siddiqui, President IAP-Architect Arif Shingazi, Chairman IAP-RIC Architect Faisal Arshad, kindly come up on the stage and present a token of appreciation to our guests. Can I please have first on stage Mr. Shafiq Akbar? Can we now have Mr. Irfan Zafar?
It's a start.
Can we now have Mr. Jawad Tariq on the stage, please?
Anybody in this place?
Okay, so thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we wrap up this session. You can all move to the adjacent hall in the high tea cert. Thank you so much.